I'm Rudhiyatri, you're watching TimesXP and welcome to the top US news today. In a surprising move, the United States government has decided to temporarily stop scheduling new visa interviews for the international students. Well, it's a big setback for Indians. This decision comes just as student visa interviews had resumed in May and could slow down the process for many students planning to study in the US. According to a report by one of the biggest media houses, this particular decision was shared through a diplomatic message or cable signed by the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The cable instructed American embassies and consulates around the globe to pause booking new appointments for students and exchange visitor visa, known as F, M, and J visas, until they receive further instructions. The reason? The US is considering expanding the screening process by adding social media checks for all the student visa applications. Right now, when somebody applies for a US visa, they are already asked to list their social media accounts on the application form called DS-160. But with the new plan, the vetting of social media could become much stricter and more detailed. Though let me tell you that the US government has not yet clearly explained what they'll be looking for in a student's social media history. However, the cable referred to rules meant to keep out people involved in terrorism or those spreading hate, specifically anti-Semitism. This change is specifically important because the US has seen growing concern over students who may have taken part in protests, particularly those related to Gaza. Some officials are unsure if simply posting a photos of a Palestinian flag could lead to additional checks or even visa rejection. The guidance is still vague, and many US consular officers have said privately that they don't know exactly how to handle such cases. In the meantime, the US Embassy in India recently reminded students to strictly follow all the rules of the student visa. If a student stops attending classes, drop out, or leaves their course without informing their school, their visas can be cancelled and they can be asked to go home. So this means that this would also hurt their chances of getting any future US visas. This is specifically worrying for Indian students as India recently became the largest source of international students in the US, overtaking China for the very first time since 2008. More than 3.3 lakh Indian students are currently studying in America, be it colleges or universities. For these students, delays or stricter rules could actually create a lot of stress, uncertainty, and disruption in their study plans. Now, to clarify, there are three main types of student visas in the US. A. F1 visa is for full-time students attending academic programs like universities or colleges. Second one is M visa, which is for the students attending non-academic or vocational training such as technical courses. And the third one is J visa, and it is meant for students or individuals taking part in cultural exchange programs or research. Now, this new move by the US government is being seen as a part of a broader changes to immigration policy under the Trump administration. Just days earlier, a judge had stopped the government from cancelling legal status for international students, showing that rules around the student immigration are changing and they are kind of unpredictable. In November 2018, a Gujarati woman named Narishta Patel, also known as Misha Patel, was tragically killed in the United States. She was only 33 years old. Misha lived in Georgia with her husband and two children, and their family ran a small store that also had a gas station. One night, after closing the store, Misha and her husband were getting into their car when a man with a gun suddenly came running towards them. He was trying to rob them and take their car. As her husband tried to quickly drive away to protect Misha, the robbers fired a gun. One of the bullets hit Misha, and sadly, she died on the spot. At the time, it was very hard to identify the killer. It was dark, the man was wearing a hoodie and gloves, and nobody could clearly see his face. The police even offered a reward of $20,000 to anybody who could give some information about the shooter. Years passed and it looked like there was nobody. The justice was not done for Misha. But in 2021, more than 2 years after the shooting, the police finally arrested a man named Bernardo Thompson. and that too in the nearby town called Tifton. Then, in January 2024, they arrested another man named Matthew Scott Parker, who was also connected to the case. It took over 5 years just to catch the people believed to be responsible for this. Now, almost 7 years later, the trial has finally started in the court. In the first hearing of the trial, the jury listened to both the government side, the prosecution, and the defense. Witness also gave statements. One person told the jury that he saw Bernardo at the scene. Another key witness, a friend of Bernardo, said that particular night before the shooting, Bernardo came to his house wearing a blue gloves and the same clothes that he was seen in the CCTV footage. The trial is expected to go on for a very long time now, and it might take until 2025 for the final judgment and sentencing to happen. Misha's family has waited long for justice. Despite the pain, they have kept their store running all these years. After her death, a fundraiser was started to help her husband and kids with the goal of raising $50,000, but it only managed to collect about $5,000 for now. That shows how hard it can be for the immigrant families to get support even during such tragedies. Sadly, cases like Misha's are not rare. Just recently, on May 20th, a young Gujarati man named Prince Patel from a village in India was shot and killed during a robbery in Tennessee. Even though Prince gave the robber the money from the register, he was still shot. A video of the incident shocked everybody out there. The robbers were caught the very next day, but not everybody is so lucky to see justice so quickly. Well, these stories highlight a disturbing reality in America. Even in a wealthy and developed country, this kind of violence is out of control. People are sometimes killed over a few dollars or during small robberies. United States President Donald Trump, who often accused others of cheating in election, is now being accused of something similar by a report from Associated Press. According to the report, Trump's own political campaign may have accepted questionable donations, including some from foreign sources, which is against US laws. This comes at a time when Trump had publicly demanded that the Justice Department investigate Act Blue, a major fundraising platform used by Democrats. He claimed that foreign actors might be using fake accounts to send illegal donations to the Democratic Party. But AP found that Trump's campaign was doing something very similar. Well, if not worse. In the US, campaign finance laws are very strict. Politicians are not allowed to take money from foreigners, and donations must be properly documented with names, addresses, and other personal information. But AP found that Trump's campaign had received more than 1,600 donations over the past 5 years from people who are living outside the US. And in some cases, these donors do not provide their names, their addresses, or even confirm if they were American citizens or not. Some donations were simply listed as anonymous or name not provided. One major example mentioned in the report was a Chinese businessman, Jiajung Jag Zhan, who donated $5,000 to Trump through the Republican fundraising website WinRed. Other donations of nearly $5,000 came from somebody listed only as Alex A., who gave a fake US address. According to campaign finance rules, these type of donations are considered suspicious and they could be illegal. The AP report also highlights how Trump has a history of ignoring campaign finance rules. He has shown support for people accused of breaking these laws, and his Justice Department even dropped a case against former Congressman Jeff, who was accused of taking $30,000 from a Nigerian billionaire. Another example is Barry Zeckelman, a Canadian steel billionaire who gave $1.75 million to a Trump-aligned super PAC in 2018. In return, he reportedly got a private dinner with Trump where steel tariffs were discussed. Later on, the billionaire was fined nearly $1 million for making that illegal donation. While Trump and his entire team point fingers at Democrats, specifically at a platform like Act Blue, many say that it's just a political move to distract people from their own problems. Democrats argue that Trump's focus on Act Blue is not about protecting election integrity, but about hurting Democratic fundraising. Legal and tech experts working with Democrats are worried. If Act Blue faces legal trouble or gets shut down, it could lead to a loss of millions of dollars in donation, possibly affecting future elections like the 2026 midterms. One Democratic lawyer, whose name is Ezra, called Trump's action a clear attack on how Democrats raise money. Tech expert Matt Hooch, who worked on President Joe Biden's 2020 campaign, warned that if Act Blue goes down, it could disrupt the entire election fundraising process and damage Democrats' ability to compete in the elections. Donald Trump, the current United States president, is once again making headlines, this time with his bold plans to turn the United States into the global leader in cryptocurrency. After returning to the White House earlier this year, if you remember, then Trump promised to make the US the crypto capital of the world. Now we are beginning to see what that vision looks like in action. According to a report by the Financial Times, Trump's media company, Trump Media and Technology Group, which owns the Truth Social platform, is preparing to raise a massive $3 billion to invest in Bitcoin and another cryptocurrencies as well. One of these, $2 billion, would come from selling new company shares, while $1 billion would come from a very special kind of loan called convertible bond. While the final details and timings would still change, but this particular move shows just how serious Trump is about diving deep into the world of digital assets. This new investment push is a part of a larger strategy. In March, Trump signed an executive order to create a US reserve of Bitcoin and build a national stockpile of digital assets. He's also reducing restrictions on the crypto industry, making it easier for businesses and investors to grow in the space. Now, this loosening of regulation is meant to attract cryptocurrencies to operate from the US rather than going to other countries like the UAE or Singapore. Trump has even launched his own meme-inspired cryptocurrency called S-Trump. Just last week, he hosted a private dinner for about 200 top investors in this coin at his Virginia golf resort. The event raised eyebrows, with critics calling it a potential conflict of interest and accusing Trump of mixing politics with personal profit. But Trump and his entire team don't seem bothered. They have dismissed such claims as politically motivated attacks. In fact, Trump's media company has started expanding beyond social media and is looking to enter financial services, including launching cryptocurrency products and exchange-traded funds aligned with his America First vision. But yes, this plan has raised questions from government ethics experts. Trump technically placed his business interests into a trust managed by his son, Donald Trump Jr., when he became the president. But he hasn't made any promises this time to avoid mixing business with politics. Critics are concerned that he could use his influence in the White House to benefit his private companies, specifically as TMTG is now actively building partnerships and seeking massive investment. According to the buzz, Bitcoin recently surged at all-time high of $109,000, partly driven by the confidence many investors have in Trump's pro-crypto stance. There's even talk that his campaign may be backed by major crypto players, and bigger crypto investors meeting this particular week may include speeches by Trump's son and Vice President J.D. Vance. In a shocking cybercrime case from Karnataka, India, many people were fooled into investing a fake scheme using artificial intelligence video of the US President Donald Trump. The scammers behind this particular fraud created a mobile application called the Trump app and claimed that it was connected to hotel rentals and investment under Trump's name. But using realistic AI-generated visuals of Trump promoting the scheme, they gained the trust of thousands of people across the state and ended up stealing crore of rupees. The app was advertised heavily on social media platforms like YouTube, where it promised users high profit in the short amount of time. Victims were told that if they invested in hotel rentals through this particular app, they would earn high returns quickly. People from all walks of life, Business owners, government employees, students, and lawyers fell into this trap. In the beginning, users were asked to pay a small registration fee of 1500 rupees. To appear trustworthy, the scammers returned 500 rupees to the users soon after they signed up. Now, these tactics helped build confidence among the victims. Once people trusted the app, they were encouraged to invest larger amounts with promises of even bigger returns. Now, that's when the scammers vanished, taking the money with them. One person from Haveri district filed a police complaint after losing 6 lakh rupees to this particular scam. In total, the scam has affected many people in multiple districts. Some victims even reported being offered fake work from home jobs through this particular app. These jobs included writing company profile, and the app showed fake earnings on a dashboard just to make it all seem real. But no actual money was ever given to the workers. Police have also confirmed that the Trump app is now shut down. Haveri's Superintendent of Police, Anshu Kumar, explained that fraudsters are using popular names like Trump to fool people. He warned everybody not to trust any unknown app or click on any suspicious link, specifically when that promised quick money. These scams are increasing and people should be extra cautious. A case has been registered by the Cybercrime, Economic Offences and Narcotics Police in Haveri. The investigation is now underway to trace the criminal using their digital activity. Authorities are also urging the public to report similar scams and help spread awareness about such type of online traps. Well, this incident is a strong reminder that not everything we see online is real, specifically when it comes to money. In the United States, there is a growing problem in the tech industry. There just aren't enough qualified American workers to fill all the available jobs. Companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and many others are continuously on the lookout for skilled workers in areas like software engineering, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, data science, and cloud computing. However, the number of Americans who are trained in these type of fields is just lower than the actual demand. While the US education system produces more graduates, not enough of them choose careers in technology, and even fewer reach the advanced level needed for the high-tech position. Now, because of this particular gap, American companies turn to international talent, specifically from countries like India, where thousands of students graduate each year with strong skills in maths, science, and computer programming. India has become a global hub for tech talent, and many Indian professionals are really eager to work in the US to gain experience, higher salaries, and exposure to global technology. Now, to bring these skilled workers legally in the US, the companies use H-1B visa program, which allows them to hire foreign workers in specialized fields like IT and engineering. India received more than 70% of all H-1B visas, largely because of their strong presence in the global tech industry and the large number of STEM, that is, science, technology, engineering, and math graduates the country produces each year. Some critics argue that hiring foreign workers take away jobs from Americans. But let me tell you, truth is more complex. US companies aren't replacing American workers, they simply can't find enough of them in the first place. In fact, many of these companies say that without H-1B visa holders, they would struggle to stay competitive, innovative, and even compete in major projects. Startups in particular depend heavily on foreign talent to build products, scale fast, and raise investment. Moreover, many Indian workers on H-1B visas eventually start their own companies, creating more jobs in the US for Americans. This situation highlights a deeper issue in America's education and workforce system. To reduce the country's dependency on foreign tech talent, the US would need to invest more in the tech education, encourage more young people to study computer science, and provide better pathway for upskilling. A sudden decision by the United States government has left many international students at Harvard and other universities worried and confused. Recently, the US authorities cancelled Harvard's Student and Exchange Visitor Program certification, which is a key requirement for international students to legally stay and study in the country. Well, this particular decision happened quickly and without any warning, causing panic among students who had already planned their future in America. From admission letters and visas to housing and finances, everything suddenly felt uncertain. Many international students come to the US not just for degrees, but for the bigger dreams that follows jobs, internships and long-term careers in global companies. But now, with this sudden visa crisis, those dreams are on shaky ground. A big concern is losing access to the OPT, optional practical training program, which allows these students to work in the US for up to 3 years after graduation. Without a valid student visa, they can't even stay in the country, let alone work. Experts in the education field say that this is more than just a policy issue. It's an emotional blow. Students feel like they are being used as tools in political games. Some have broken down, cried, and even stopped sleeping properly because they don't know what their future holds. Mental health is becoming a major issue for many of them, as once a stable plan are now filled with fear and stress. Now, to help students deal with this chaos, education counselors and advisors are stepping in now. They are working really fast to protect students the visas, explore transfer to other colleges with valid SEVP status, or help students delay their plans by deferring their admission. Many students are also being advised to have backup options such as applying to universities in Canada, the UK or Australia just in case they are unable to continue in the US. So this way they won't lose a full academic year. While Harvard faculty and student groups are trying really hard to show emotional support, students say that real, practical help is still missing. They are being told to wait and see, but that's not enough when their entire future is at risk. What they will really need is clear communication, fast decision, and system in place that can support them when things go wrong. This situation is also damaging America's image in the eyes of the world. International students and their families used to see the US as a land of opportunity and fairness. Now many are beginning to question whether the country is still a safe and reliable place for education or not. As a result, students are not just applying to US universities, they are also applying elsewhere just in case. In recent years, the US has been a top destination for global talent. Students from India, China, and many other countries bring billions of dollars into the US economy through tuition, housing, and living expenses. They also contribute in a big ways to research, innovation, and the workforce. If policies like this continue, experts say that the US could lose its position as a global leader in education. That's it for today. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to TimesXP for more such updates.